Hello, everybody. Um, Sorry for the lack of pods being recorded. Things were a little bit busy, but I'm not here to make excuses, so we're back at it. Um, what can I say about the Leafs season so far? It's October and November have been two completely different months. Uh, can't complain about how the Leafs are winning in November. I mean, they've really bought into a style of play that includes um, forward skating more in unison. Uh, they're definitely closer, tighter together. They're moving the puck better. The defense is definitely better. Even though the Leafs have three significant injuries on defense with Riley, Brody, and Muzzin. Everyone has really stepped up, and the forwards have bought in that they have to play better defense and they have to be um, back checking better, just more cohesive, closer together on the ice. And the results have been impressive in the month of November. It doesn't hurt that the Leafs got a bunch of good starts from Ilya Samsonov to start the season. And then when he got hurt, Matt Murray came back and he's played stellar since he's come back from injury. So uh, it looks like Kyle Dubas's hunch about these goaltenders was correct. I mean, they're both putting up really good stats, and the Leafs are currently third in the NHL in goals against per game. Now, I had a hot take to start the season off. I tweeted out, follow me on 13 Leafs 01 TML domain. But I said if both of these guys can play up to their capabilities, to their talent level, the Leafs are going to get some really good goaltending. But, acquiring Murray with his health history and considering he has one more year left on his contract, was that a good deal? Was that not a good deal? It's hard to tell, but right now, both guys are playing up to what they're capable of, and the Leafs are third in the NHL in goals against per game. Now, what I did tweet out was what I did tweet out was if these guys can play good and they do play good all season, the Leafs are going to have the lowest goals against in the NHL. And considering that they're third right now, only behind Boston and New Jersey, um, makes you think that that could happen. And it's a stark reality to what the Leafs were last year and the year before that. Like, I have nothing against Jack Campbell as a person, but I'm a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are in the business of winning. And they have to get results. And I can care about the person, and I could see that these guys are nice guys and they have families, and I don't, you know, these guys shouldn't be attacked on a personal level, but he's having a horrible year in Edmonton. Edmonton is right now, I don't know, probably outside of a playoff spot or just holding on to the last wild card spot. The results haven't been so good for them, and to the point where Vancouver actually caught up to Edmonton. So it looks like Dubas was right. The Leafs needed better goaltending, and then you see some of these wins, like the Leafs are playing Minnesota Wild. Rasmus Sandin with a horrible turnover with seconds left in the game, and Kaprizov gets a one-timer, and Matt Murray comes across and makes that save. And you see other games where the Leafs are playing the New Jersey Devils, they're holding on for dear life. The other team's got all the momentum, and Matt Murray makes some saves again and keeps that a win for the Leafs, and you come out of it feeling positive. Like the Leafs, if they just collapse in front of the net and let the other team stick to the outside, it only takes shots from the outside, and the goalie can see it, he can make some saves. And as a Leaf fan, I can see from these wins and how they're winning based on the saves that are being made, and Samsonov has made some of those saves too. This is what the Leafs have been missing in the playoffs. You know, everybody in this market comes down on Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Nylander. Nylander, by the way, is leading the Leafs in goals with 13. Probably, yeah, I would say he's top five, if not the best $7 million player in the NHL. He's serious bang for the buck. And for a long time, he's been getting a shit ride in this town. And it's this year, people are really appreciating William Nylander. Uh, but the top four are scoring, and they score in the playoffs too. But sometimes you just need a save. Jack Campbell wasn't the guy who was going to ever make that save, and he's proving it in Edmonton that he's just a guy who got hot for a little while, and he's a 30-year-old, never was, you can't even call him a has-been because he's a never was. He was never a number one a true number one goaltender. You know, you got goalies like Mrazek got some wins last year, and Shelgren got some wins last year, and the season was saved by those guys. Jack Campbell wasn't around when the Leafs needed him the most, and in the playoffs when he was around, he wasn't great. And unfortunately, Kyle Dubas on the last year of his contract is in the business of winning. He's got to do whatever he has to do to win. And the fact that he passed up on Jack Campbell and got these two guys, I mean, this tandem is probably the best goalie tandem I've seen since, I don't know. I know Belfour played a lot of games. He was always, playing games in the 60s range, but the backup didn't play too much. But it's been a long time since I've seen a tandem this good where you can pop in either guy on any given night and you just expect them to make that one save a night that either keeps you in the game, keeps you in the lead, or they save the game for you. Because even the best teams in the NHL are guaranteed to lose 25 to 30 games a season. The best team in the NHL will lose a minimum of 25 games, that's guaranteed. So that means, regardless of how good your defense is, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to turn over pucks, you're going to give up odd man rushes, and sometimes you just need your goalie to get you that save. So, I mean, I see around the NHL, I see Edmonton's goalies struggling and because they don't play good defense in general, but Jacob Markstrom struggling, UC Saros struggling, Shesterkin is struggling right now. To be, it's it's not as hard to have one amazing season, but it's hard to be consistent over many years. And everyone jumped on the Campbell wagon when really in the NHL you need a 6'4", 6'5" butterfly goaltender, not some stand-up goalie who looks like not some stand-up, hybrid goalie who thinks he's Jonathan Quick and, it looks so small in net. Anyways, I'm glad the Leafs have moved on from Jack Campbell. They're getting great goaltending, and a lot of the guys that are stepping up right now, like, I'm not a big fan of Pierre Engvall, but last night he put he had his stick between the defenseman's skates, and he still got a shot off for that game-winning goal, which is good for him. He's making good on his opportunities. I'm not a big fan of Alex Kerfoot either, but Alex Kerfoot made two great plays last night. One on the shot, which created a rebound for Ingvall to score the game-winning goal. And he also made a great play to Mitch Marner to extend his point streak to 18 games, which ties a franchise record. That in itself is unreal what Mitch Marner is doing right now. So, you know, I like this whole idea of Mitch Marner playing with Tavares. They're probably better suited as a tandem if you want to go far in the playoffs. Like I think William Nylander, the way he skates and the way he, you know, controls the puck, the way he skates around the zone, he always gets the puck to the front of the net. It's just he's better suited to play with Matthews because Matthews gets more opportunities off the rush rather than having to cycle the puck, go behind the net, hit some people, steal the puck. William Nylander is really well suited to play with him, and right now those two lines are amazing because you see in a game Mitch Marner is hot. The other team says, "Hey, I'm gonna put my shutdown defenseman against you," and I think Pittsburgh is probably the best example. In that the last Pittsburgh game, the Pittsburgh put their best defenseman against Tavares and Marner, and Matthews ends up with a 3-point night. And that is the whole point of why you signed John Tavares to be the second line center to Austin Matthews because you wanted to have uh, a 1-2 punch. That's probably the best. That could be, one of the best, if not the best, in the NHL. And right now, Tavares is playing amazing. He's had a real resurgence, and you know, hear him talk about his off season, the way he trained to get ready for this season, and the way he's come out of the gates, really goes to show, the off season before when he's coming off that concussion against the Montreal Canadiens when he didn't have a full off season and he didn't get to really train and you saw he was, you know, hot and cold last season. It really affected him. And this off season, he really dedicated his training to moving his feet faster and skating better and getting into better spots because, his hands are still there and his shot is still there. And right now, you just see him getting into better spots with his skating, and it's great to see. I mean, one thing I would love, so we only got to see one game of this, but Yarncrook on that Tavares Math and Marner line was unreal. Now he's hurt and he's going to be out for a little while with a groin problem. So I would love to see Nick Robertson get a try there. Nick Robertson is definitely an NHLer. He's proved he can play in the NHL. He looks like an NHL player. He's got an NHL shot. He skates amazing. He can keep up with Tavares and Marner, and he's real tenacious on the puck. It's just, I think with Yarn Crook out, I would hate to see Yarn Crook out. He's one of my favorite players on the team currently. It's just he's got to be on that second line, and right now you see the way the third line is built right now with Ingval and Kerfoot. That third line really took off when Pontus Holmberg was put on that line. And it just goes to show you that you need a natural center for that third line. Kerfoot isn't the guy. He's not going to play on the top two lines on the wing. He can't play third line center. You got Camp as fourth line center, playing with Malgin and Zach Aston Reese, which has been amazing, that fourth line. I mean, right now, the way they're getting out there and skating against other fourth lines, and our line is faster. They create more offense. They're really dominating and moving the puck behind the net. That fourth line has been amazing. I think where the Leafs really have to shore up, and I know right now with all the issues on the back end, you would want the Leafs to trade for a defenseman. But I think to really solidify the Leafs, I don't think you're going to go into the playoffs with Pontus Holmberg as your third line center. You could. I mean, he has looked good. It depends on how he develops throughout the year, but you got to go out and get a legit third line center. Like, I'm not saying it has to be like a Ryan O'Reilly, but that type where, he's big, he's strong, he can put the puck in the net given the opportunities, but he's really sound defensively as well. And there's tons of UFAs out there. Guys in St. Louis is doing okay. They're not doing all that great. And tons of teams have UFAs. You have John Klimberg and Anaheim, who might be a good trade for the Leafs come the trade deadline. But you have to get at least one defenseman. You have to replace Muzzin. You can't go into the playoffs without replacing Muzzin. If Brody and Riley come back and they're healthy and everything is okay, you have to replace Muzzin. I mean, you have Hall, you have Rasmus Sandin, you have Timothy Liljegren. You have pieces. You definitely have to replace Muzzin with a younger, just a younger version of Muzzin. Like, you can go out there and get a guy who hits, plays defense, and is just a younger version of Muzzin would probably be like a Luke Shen. Um, the Islanders have some defensemen that remind me of that mold. Not a Definitely not a Zach Bogosian. He's too old. But, to go out there and get a guy like, I don't know, not a lot of names come to mind right now, but just a big physical defensive defenseman who can move his feet. You don't want him to be slow. Like, I personally think Ilya Labushkin from last year was the perfect example. If you can go out and get him again, if the Buffalo Sabres, which look like they're not going to make the playoffs this year, if the Buffalo Sabres want to move Ilya Labushkin for, for a future pick, a fifth or a sixth or seventh, and they take on like half of the salary, Ilya Labushkin is a good ad because last year we saw him play with Morgan Riley, and he skates good, he hits hard, he stands people up at the blue line. He provided a real edge on that line. I think Ilya Labushkin is actually probably the perfect example of how you could replace Muzzin with a younger version of him. And yeah, I mean, I've personally just I've been in wow of the goaltending. I mean, I honestly didn't see Murray and Samsonov being this good. I knew Samsonov was going to be good, based on what I've seen from him in Washington. He had real stretches where he was a legit number one goalie, and when Murray got hurt, he became that legitimate number one goalie for the Leafs. Now that Murray's back in the month of December, the Leafs only play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday every week. So there's no back-to-backs in December. This is the month where you take these guys, you don't stress them out, you go, hey, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Murray, Samsonov, Murray. Murray, and then like Murray, Samsonov, Murray, Samsonov, Murray, Samsonov, Murray, Samsonov, Murray. You just flip. One first week, Murray gets two out of the three, and then the next week, Samsonov gets two out of the three, and then in the third week, Murray gets two out of the three. You're playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You're just rolling these guys, and there's not a lot of stress. It's not a lot of consecutive games. You don't have to tire these guys out, and they're both capable of high level goaltending. They're putting up great stats right now. Like I said, the Leafs are third in the NHL in goals against per game, which is amazing. I never thought I'd see it. It's they always say your best penalty killer is your goaltending. So it's one of those things where I've been pleasant. It's it's really coming to the point where Samsonov is actually becoming one of my favorite guys. He just dropped a F-bomb after practice yesterday, where they asked him about Mitch Marner's hot streak, and he says, let's hope he stays fucking hot, eh? Like I love the guy. He has got a personality in his press conferences. He's always talking about I see the boys smiling and it's good. We got to win. We need smiles. Like he's quickly becoming one of my favorite Leaf goalies of all time. Like I'm this close to buying his jersey. He's on a 1 year deal. Hopefully he sticks around for a long time. But we're seeing a lot of positives across the board. Like Sheldon Keefe isn't a great coach when it comes to press conferences and talking to the media and level setting expectation with the fan base and everything like that. But in games, on the while his team is on the ice, he's making all the right decisions. Whether, every once in a while he'll flip Matthews out there and he'll double shift him and he'll put him out there with Tavares and Marner, or, vice versa. Marner goes on the top line with Nylander and Matthews, which looks crazy at times. Their puck possession and their ozone time is ridiculous when that happens. And it's he's making all the right decisions. He sees how Pontus Holmberg plays on the third line center spot, and I think it was the first 3 games. So Holmberg came in and then went out, missed a bunch of games. They sent him down. He came back. I think for the first 3 games that Pontus Holmberg was in the lineup, the Leafs won 5-2. And it's just one of those things where even Keefe says after practice that the guy doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and that's what you need from your bottom six. You need guys who are going to go out there, you know, just keep things rolling until you can get your top two lines back out there. And it's not like he's not contributing. I mean, that goal he scored in Pittsburgh, first of all, the goal he scored in New Jersey, which was the game winner, was nice. 5 hole. First NHL goal was amazing. And then in Pittsburgh, he just takes that pass from Marner and he ripped that top corner. I mean, that looks like an NHL shot to me. And the way he plays defensively, he looks like an NHLer to me. And apparently Sheldon Keefe thinks so as well. It's just right now with the way the lineup is made, he's not going to get a lot of playing time, but it's good to see that there's depth there. Like Mac Hollowell, who is highly touted within the organization, gets called up with all the injuries the Leafs have on defense, and he plays good. He makes a play up the boards, and the Leafs get a goal last night. Fake shot pass to Matthews in front of the net, tap in. Like Mac Hollowell, who's highly touted as a great skating offensive defenseman, looks just that. And then you see guys who have elevated, and it's about time because I've been waiting for Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren to really take a hold of a spot on the defense and not let go. And it looks like that's what's happening now. It's great to see because these guys have a lot of potential. They have a lot of skill, and they're just making the right decisions out there. I can't, you know, to see this team after Christmas and in the new year, um, with with everyone healthy, with the two goalies healthy, playing games, with the defense healthy, um, with the right forward mix. Like they're already rolling, but to think that they have another level to go to and they can take off even more is it's really crazy. I mean, there's not really much to complain about right now other than just, the Leafs need to be proactive between now and the trade deadline. I know they got Connor Timmins, who's a right-handed defenseman, but He's definitely not the answer. And the Leafs need at least two pieces, a third line center, or just another forward. I hear I've seen rumors around Frank Vetrano and Ryan O'Reilly and John Klingberg, and the Leafs have looked in on Eric Carlson, but I mean Jacob Chikrin is a good option as well. I just don't think the Arizona Coyotes are ever going to come off this high horse uh of what they're asking for that guy. Like it's weird. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You're Kyle Dubas. You're in the last year of your contract. You know, um, it's pretty clear that if the Leafs don't accomplish what they want to accomplish, he's not going to get renewed, and which probably means Sheldon Keefe is gone because a new GM will definitely want to choose his own coach. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens down the line. But the Leafs definitely have depth. They have prospects. You have Nick Robertson, you have Pontus Holmberg, you got Victor Mete. All these guys are playing well, and it's just one of those situations where the Leafs are showing their depth. Not a lot of teams can lose their top three defensemen and go on a run like this. I mean, I mean, you look across the NHL, the Florida Panthers look horrible. I never thought they were a good team, but some people did, and now this season that they're proving that what they did before was more of an aberration than it was um, how Florida was going to be moving forward. Tampa's playing good, but they've taken a step back. They've lost some players, so that's definitely going to be a hit. They've taken a hit, and you see young, fast teams like New Jersey, Detroit, all do well to start the season, and you know the Boston Bruins right now are winning a lot of games. But even though they've won, I don't know, 12 or 13 straight at home, they start the season on fire. The Leafs are only like 2 or 3 points behind the Boston Bruins. I know that their Boston Bruins have some games in hand. That's true, but to see a team as hot as the Boston Bruins at the top of the division, and the Leafs are only 3 points back means they're keeping pace. Not so much that, the Leafs are going to win the division or whatever. They possibly could. I mean, I don't think Boston's going to keep winning at this clip for the rest of the season. But I don't know. There's not really much to complain about. As a Leaf fan, I'm very satisfied with how things are going, with how the season is going. You got to give Kyle Dubas his kudos. I mean, the goaltending decisions were good. In the off season, he didn't go crazy on defense. He said that we have guys internally that can raise their game, which he was correct. I mean, Sandin has raised his game. Justin Hall started the season really bad, but has been playing better of late, which is great to see. Lilligren has been raising his game. Then you got guys like Mac Hollowell who come up, and they got Victor Mete coming up, and it's just it's all hands on deck right now. And the Leafs are showing their depth. They're showing their prospect pool. Their high end guys are high end guys. Their goaltending is good goaltending. You're not so worried if one of them gets hurt because you have two really good goalies. I mean, there's really not much to complain about in Leafland right now. I really hope you guys are good. I mean, this makes Christmas even better. The way the Leafs are playing right now, going into Christmas, is great. You see, I got my Toronto Maple Leaf tree up. I'm gonna put my, I'm gonna put a Stanley Cup underneath this tree just so, Santa knows what I want for Christmas this year. But yeah, it definitely makes everything a lot more enjoyable. I mean, I've already been to three games this year. All three games, incredible atmosphere. All three games, the fans were buzzing. They're standing up. It's really great stuff. No negativity in Leafland right now. Leafs are doing great. Edmonton fans are losing their shit right now. Jack Campbell's garbage. I told everybody on Twitter forever how this guy is not going to pan out. To even pay him $2.5 million on a 5-year deal would have been an overpayment. But it is what it is. Um, I'm definitely gonna do at least one more episode before Christmas. So just in case I don't, I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a happy holidays. And as always, go Leafs go. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys soon.